Senator, thanks for being with us. You are one of the Republicans who's saying don't tie this aid together. Look, I'm with you. I think taxpayers deserve to see each piece separately and see where their representatives vote. How are you going to get that done?
Well, listen, Joe Biden is missing a wonderful opportunity to unify the Capitol. This is dead on arrival. If he puts both of these bills together, this funding together, it's dead on arrival in the House, and you can't go through the unanimous consent process. What Americans need to realize, or they do understand already, we long for peace through strength, but this president gives us war through weakness. I think comparing Ukraine and Israel are apples and oranges. Maybe it's apples and the moon. In Israel right now, the people of Israel are engaged in a war for the future of humanity, a war that will last weeks, probably months, and again, ridding the country, ridding the world, eliminating Hamas versus a situation in Ukraine is a 7-year, 9-year war, hundreds of billions of dollars over a border dispute that's been going on for thousands of years. Only Joe Biden can mess something like this up. This might be the straw that actually brings together the House to point them towards getting a speaker. Listen, we need to fund Israel yesterday. We need to know, they need to know that we have their back unconditionally.
Senator, I'm glad that you brought up the distinction between the two types of conflict. And previously, the president has said that we will stand by Ukraine as long as it takes. We'll give them whatever they need. But after his address last night and thinking about this $105 billion, pardon me, the 60 that's apportioned to Ukraine, many people are saying we've given them billions already and not seeing much progress with respect to them being able to knock the Russians out of this game. You know, to a certain degree, there's a crisis in the Middle East now. We are bleeding money in this country, and people are worried about it.
Yeah, and you left out that this president is putting the lives of people in Ukraine over the lives of Americans. 300 Americans every day dying because of an open border, secondary to fentanyl poisoning. As we all listened to President Biden last night, we realized that there's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of clarity. There's no strategy. There's no priorities. And what he's basically doing is letting these puppets of Iran, giving them free reign. I think what they heard last night from the president is he doesn't have any red lines, that you're free to do whatever you want to do, instead of this moral clarity that we need to be talking about for this war for humanity that's going on over in the Middle East right now. You know, that clarity to me means, number one, is getting American citizens home. Number two, cutting the head off the snake, which is Iran. And number three is eliminating Hamas. Americans would get that. If we have to spend $5 billion, $10 billion, $20 billion to assist one of our staunchest allies, then so be it. But don't drag this into the Ukraine issue that is not popular here at home. Even talking to people from Ukraine recently, they can't find people that want to go fight that war. They realize it's a death sentence to go do that. And it's, like I said, a 7, 8, 9-year long war.
You know, Senator, focusing on the Israel piece and the Israel funding, I really like that you brought up, you know, if we have those clear objectives, the American support for such funding is clear. But I think one of the problems that we hear right now is this humanitarian aid piece. The current aid that's going over, the administration has said if it falls in the hands of Hamas, it stops. We're now going to be seeing an additional $10 billion in aid, I'm sure with the same kind of stipulations around it. But isn't it a bit too late? If it falls into the hands of Hamas, then we pull out. Once the money is in the hands of our adversaries, it seems like the ball's already been dropped.
Yeah, my head is just exploding to think about the logic of this president. He goes to Israel, basically functions as a shield to Hamas. Of course, nothing's going to happen there when the president is going. His total mission there was to ask Israel to delay, to turn the other cheek once more, when we know that's not the right thing to be doing. But you're absolutely right. Time after time again, when we send aid to the Middle East, it's the terrorists that end up with this. Hamas is ruling over the Gaza Strip right now. So as this goes in, as the aid goes in, Hamas is going in with it. So we're already opened the door for Iran to be paying and arming and planning the battles for Hamas. Now the president of the United States wants to feed them as well. Look, it's a horrible situation. And going back to President Eisenhower again, I remember him saying that I hate war as only as a soldier who's lived it can. This is going to be brutal. It's going to be ugly. But that's what happens when you have the savagery of Hamas attacking and killing, raping, murdering Israelis and Americans for that matter. So my goodness, Mr. President, let's go after Hamas. Let's let Israel do their job. Let's secure our southern border most of all.
Makes a lot of sense. Senator Roger Marshall, thank you so much for being here.